Oh, hey, didn't see you there. As you may have seen, obviously we're going to be talking about pencils today. That's the topic for our global exchange project. So, first things first, let's go find out how they're made, the basic components, and where the materials come from.
For this assignment, I will be answering questions 1 and 6. Question 1 states, what is the object made of and where did the raw materials come from to make the component and how they were extracted, mined, or grown? A standard pencil is made up of a few components: graphite, wood, the eraser, and the metal part that holds the eraser. The graphite in the pencil primarily comes from South America, specifically Brazil and Mexico. There are two types of mining methods used to extract graphite: the open pit method and the underground method. The open pit method involves harvesting the graphite from open pits in the ground. The underground method involves digging into the earth to extract graphite. The wood used to create a pencil primarily comes from Sweden and South Africa. Most of the wood used for pencils comes from the incense cedar tree. Thankfully, a majority of pencil manufacturers use sustainable wood from reforested trees. This means that for every tree cut down to produce pencils, another one is planted in its place. The erasers for pencils can either be natural or synthetic. For this question, I will specifically talk about naturally derived erasers. The rubber used for natural erasers mostly comes from the rubber trees that grow in Malaysia and Thailand. The latex that is harvested from the rubber trees is used to create the rubber for erasers. A slit is made into the tree which allows the latex to drain in a process called rubber tapping. The metal component that contains the eraser and attaches it to the pencil is called a ferrule. The metal used for ferrules is mostly sourced from China and Mozambique and is mined similar to the way graphite is mined. Question number 6 asks, what specific meanings does this object have for you and or previous owners? For me, the pencil allows me to take better notes than what I would do on a computer. By physically writing with a pencil, I am more likely to retain the information that I am writing onto a piece of paper. It has also been proven that for most people, physically writing notes allows for better memory retention. Also, it helps me study when I see notes in my own handwriting instead of on a computer-generated font. When calculating the answer for a math or chemistry problem, pencils are the perfect tool because I am able to erase my mistakes and write my thoughts all over a piece of paper. Pencils allow me to become more in touch with what I am working on.
Where is it? Ah. Aha. I was looking for another pencil. That was a lot of information. Bet you didn't know pencils went that deep. Now, let's take a closer look at who manufactured pencils and how did they get to their final place of purchase.
Question 2. Who manufactured pencils into finished products? What kind of working conditions, labor relations, and or access to the finished product do you think they experienced? Well, in 1861, Edward Faber created the first United States pencil making factory in New York City. Then the idea of putting a eraser onto a pencil was created by Hyman W. Lippmann, an American who in 1858 gave his patent to Joseph Rickenfeller, who finalized it in 1872. When the pencil was being created, it was the final product from what many other cultures, like the Egyptian and the Chinese culture, had typically created in their times. In creating the pencil, the main problem was creating a type of lead they used called graphite, a type of carbon. The way they were creating/molding graphite was easy in thought, but hard to do in action, and that is due to two main reasons. First being the ability to separate other chemicals from the carbon to create graphite, and secondly, how the quality of the pencil would be so that it would not break so easily or be too hard to write with. Question 3. How did pencils get to the place where they are purchased by you or someone else? Pencils were created in Asia and Germany in the early 19th century, since those countries had the most resources to produce pencils faster than any other country. And once those pencils were finished being produced, they were shipped off to the United States to be sold in many convenience stores. Years passed, and over time, many other countries had the ability to manufacture their own pencils, so that there was no need for that long transportation across other countries. Pencils are now shipped to stores like Walmart Staples for everyone to get.
Man, pencils keep getting more interesting and interesting by the minute. Now let's go find out what are the intended uses of pencils and what makes a pencil uniquely yours.
When it comes to the number 2 pencil, its use is pretty obvious. You write and erase with it, usually on a piece of paper. However, some other unusual uses of an everyday wood pencil may include helping plants stay upright while being planted, or maybe getting some last minute drum practice in. Rather than solely using the lead of your pencil as your main use, some may use the overall structure of the object for various practical tasks that they may encounter. Nevertheless, I personally do not seek out any last minute drumming practice or plant various plants in my spare time. I solely use my number 2 pencil as it was originally intended, to write down whatever I see fit and erase my thoughts as needed. The number 2 pencil I speak of looks and feels just like any other number 2 pencil you can find in today's age, with some unique minor adjustments. This pencil does not have any stickers or noticeable scratches on it to make it completely unique. However, one such aspect clearly shows how it's been used. I'm talking about the eraser. The purpose of the eraser is to physically delete any written down words, phrases, or objects that are deemed unnecessary. The eraser on the pencil I speak of is somewhat worn down from its use for erasing words from my papers. Now, I cannot say for certain how long I have had this pencil, but from looking at its length and eraser, I can say that it's gone through numerous written assignments and some very long essays. Its journey inside and outside of the classroom for myself, as well as possibly others, re-emphasizes its true purpose. As time goes on, and as the lead of the pencil gets duller and duller, and as the eraser slowly diminishes, it will soon shorten and be unusable. At that point in time, I will move on to a much newer, fresher number 2 pencil and start the writing process all over again.
So now that we've learned about the basic components of a pencil, where they come from, where they originated, what are the basic uses of it, who is involved in making them, we can finally learn what happens once we've used the object. As discussed earlier, once you use the object of a pencil to a certain extent, it becomes unusable to the point where it gets too short, it gets dull, the eraser doesn't really work anymore. Sometimes you just start smudging your mistakes as opposed to actually erasing them. So what do we do once we've used the object? In my case, there's a plethora of uses for the object once it's used. Now, you can just throw it away, discard it in the trash, or you can use it for something more practical. You can use it for prop building, prop making, which I've personally used in the past. You can also use it just to scratch your head, if that's the case. But what's important is that we've now lost the ability to write down our thoughts, our notes, or something important we might need for a later date. But that's okay, because as we've learned, they're widely available all throughout the world, now that we have access to the materials and components used to make them. In conclusion, we hope we've helped to educate you on the history, production, and application of pencils, since it's important to know their origin and where they come from, since they're used so widely in today's society.